गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जनवल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रज जनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि यमुनतीरावनचारि जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा गिरिधारी राधा गिरिधारी राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय न जय बलदेव जय सुभद्रा जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय जय राधा दामोदर राधे प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव श्रीपाद परमहंस परिव्रजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शतश्री ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री श्री राधा गिरधारी भगवान की जय श्री श्री राधा दामोदर जी की जय श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा मैया की जय श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय श्री श्री कार्तिक मास की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to the lotus feet of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga all glories to Srila Prabhupada all glories to Srila Gurudev Hare Krishna. Welcome to this session this morning. We will read from Prabhupada Leelamrita. I think I've lost the post. Does anybody have the thing open? I think I put it on, but I just lost it. Just scrolled.
Prabhuji, I'm doing it.
Okay, Prabhu, if you can share screen, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
So is it visible now from this
Yes,
side?
yes. The next day, correct.
Yes, Prabhu.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Prabhupada Leelamrita ki jai. The next day, acting on a whim, the devotees took the Jagannath deity off the altar and carried him gate park for a kirtan. Within minutes, hundreds gathered in the meadow below Hippie Hill, dancing and chanting around Lord Jagannath. After several hours, the devotees returned him to the altar. Prabhupada disapproved. The deity should never leave the temple. The deities don't go out to see the people, except on special occasions. They are not for parks for birds to drop stool on. If you want to see the deities, you have to visit them. Lord Jagannath's presence quickly beautified the temple. Devotees made garlands from him daily. Jadurani's paintings of Lord Vishnu arrived from New York, and Govinda Dasi had painted a large portrait of Srila Prabhupada, which now hung beside his seat. Devotees also put Indian prints of Krishna on the walls. The light flashing upon Lord Jagannath made his eyes seem to pulsate and his colors move and jump, and he became a special attraction in the psychedelic neighborhood of Haight-Ashbury. As Prabhupada had requested, devotees and guests began bringing offerings before the altar of Lord Jagannath. Hippies would come by and leave whatever they could: a stalk of wheat, half a loaf of bread, a box of saltines, a piece of fudge, or candles, fruits, or flowers. Hearing that before using something for yourself, you should first offer it to God, some hippies began bringing their new clothes and offering them with a prayer to Lord Jagannath before wearing them. These hippies didn't follow Lord Jagannath's instructions, but they wanted his blessings. Will we conclude here, Prabhu? Thank you, Prabhuji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Srimad Bhagavatam Puranam Amalam Yad Vaishnavanam Priyam Yasmin Parahamsyam Ekam Amalam Jnanam Param Giyate Tatra Jnana Viraga Bhakti Sahitam Naishkarmyam Avishkritam Tat Shrinvan Supathan Vicharana Paro Bhaktya Vimuchye Naraha Bhaktya Vimuchye Naraha Bhaktya Vimuchye Naraha. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Thank you very much. Screen now. Hopefully it should be okay. Okay, hopefully everybody can see the screen. So today we're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 30, Text 19, the activities of the Prachetas. Okay, just read the verse. Gribhesh avishatam chapi pumsam kushala karmanam madvarta yata yamanam na bandhaya grihamataha. Grihesh avishatam chapi pumsam kushala karmanam madvarta yata yamanam na bandhaya grihamataha. Grihesh avishatam chapi pumsam kushala karmanam madvarta yata yamanam न बंधाय गृहामतः. Okay.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Dandavat Pranam. Griheshu avishatam chapi pumsham kushala karmanam madvartayataya manam na bandaya grihamataha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I am saying. Grihesha vishotam chapi pumsam kushala karmanam madvartayata yamanam no bandhayo griha mataha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. গৃহেষ্বাভিশতাং চাপি পুংসাং কুশলকর্মণাং মদ্বার্তায়াতয়ামানং ন বন্ধায় গৃহামতঃ. Hare Krishna.
Anybody else? No. Okay. So we'll go for the word for word translation. Griheshu, in family life. Avishatam, who have entered. Cha, also. Api, even. Pumsam, of persons. Kushala karmanam, engaged in auspicious activities. Mad varta, in topics about me. Yata, is expended. Yamanam, whose every moment. Na, not. Bandhaya, for your bondage. Grihaha, household life. Mataha, considered. Translation Prabhupada by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. So I'll just open up. Can somebody read the translation and then somebody else can read the purport? It's a bit long, so we can take turns.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Those who are engaged in auspicious activities in devotional service certainly understand that the ultimate enjoyer or beneficiary of all the activities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, when one acts, he offers the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and passes life always engaged in the topics of the Lord. Even though such a person may be participating in family life, he is not affected by the results of his actions. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Somebody else can read the purport.
Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Generally, a person living in a family becomes overly attached to fruitive activity. In other words, he tries to enjoy the result of his activities. A devotee, however, knows that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer and the supreme proprietor. Bhaktaram Yagnatapasham Sarvaloka Maheswaram. Consequently, the devotee does not consider himself the proprietor of any occupation. The devotee always thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the proprietor. Therefore, the result of his business are offered to the Supreme Lord. One who thus lives in this material world with his family and children never becomes affected by the contamination of the material world. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 3.9. Yagna yartat karmano annatra loko ayam karma bandhana tadartam karma konteya mukta sangha samachara. One who tries to enjoy the result of his activities becomes bound by the results. One who offers the result or profit to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, does not become entangled in the result. This is the secret of success. Generally, people take sannyas to become free from reaction of fruitive activity. One who does not receive the result of his action but offers them instead to the Supreme Personality of Godhead certainly remains in a liberated condition. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami confirms, Iha yasya hare dashe karmana manasa gira nikleshu api avastashu jivan mukta shauchate. If one engages himself in the service of the Lord through his life, well, word, intelligence, and everything he possesses, he will always be liberated in any condition. Such a person is called Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated during this lifetime. Devoid of Krishna consciousness, those who engage in material activities simply become more entangled in this material bondage. They have to suffer and enjoy the action and reaction of all activity. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore the greatest boon to humanity because it keeps one always engaged in Krishna's service. The devotees think of Krishna, act for Krishna, eat for Krishna, sleep for Krishna, and work for Krishna. Thus, everything is engaged in the service of Krishna. A total life in Krishna consciousness saves one from material contamination, as stated by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. Krishna bhajane aha hoy anukula বিষয় ভুলিয়া ত্যাগ তাহা হয় ভুলা. If one so expert that he engages everything or dovetail everything in the service of the Lord, to give up the material world would be a great blunder. One should learn how to dovetail everything in the service of the Lord, for everything is connected to Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Shall I continue?
Somebody else want to continue? It's a long one.
Okay, I'll continue.
Okay,
Prabhu.
continue, Prabhu.
Yeah, that is the real purpose of life and secret of success. As reiterated later in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita 3.19. Tasmat ashakta shatatam karmyam karma samachara ashakta hi acharana karma param apnoti purusha. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty by for by working without attachment, one attains the supreme. The third chapter of Bhagavad Gita specifically considers material activities for the purpose of sense gratification and material activities for the purpose of satisfying the Supreme Lord. The conclusion is that these are not one and the same. Material activities for sense gratification are the cause of material bondage, whereas the very same activities for the satisfaction of Krishna are the causes of liberation. However, the same activity can be the cause of bondage, and liberation can be explained as follows. One may get indigestion due to eating too many meals preparation, condensed milk, sweet rice, and so on. But even though there is indigestion or diarrhea, another milk preparation, yogurt, mixed with black pepper and salt, will immediately cure these maladies. In other words, one milk preparation can cause indigestion and diarrhea, and another milk preparation can cure them. If one is placed in material opulence due to special mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he should not consider opulence a cause of bondage. When a mature devotee is blessed with material opulence, he does not become affected adversely, for he knows how to employ material opulence in the service of the Lord. There are many such examples in the history of the world. There were kings like Priti Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Janak, Dhruva, Vaivashvata Manu, and Maharaja Ishbaku. All of these great kings were specially favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If a devotee is not mature, the Supreme Lord will take away all his opulence. This principle is stated by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yasha aham, yasha aham anugrahanami harishye tad dhanam shanoi. My first mercy shown to my devotee is to take away all his material opulence. material opulence detrimental to devotional service is taken away by the Supreme Lord, whereas a person who is mature in devotional service is given all material facilities. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmittamina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Translation again. So those who are engaged in auspicious activities in devotional service certainly understand that the ultimate enjoyer or beneficiary of all activities is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, when one acts, he offers the results to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and passes life always engaged in the topics of the Lord. Even though such a person may be participating in family life, he is not affected by the results of his actions. So this is the section where the Lord is speaking to the Prachetas. In fact, just to recollect the previous verses, it's such a wonderful section here. Wonderful because obviously the Lord is giving the importance of devotional service, and especially in relation to the Grihastha life, which is relevant for all of us. But what is interesting is the sequence of events. So if you see, this chapter is titled Activities of Prachetas, and we saw how they underwent so much austerity under guidance of Lord Shiva, right? How much was it? 10,000 years of austerities.
Yes.
And after that, they got the darshan of the Lord. Now, when the Lord appears, normally what happens? We become excited and we may actually want to ask the Lord for something. You know, we've done so much effort and we've got some result. Abhi wo result ka, you know, we need to have something for us, na. What is it for me? 10,000 years bhai tapasya kiya, abhi kuch to do. So that's our mentality. But the Prachetas, why are we glorifying the Prachetas? Because the Prachetas, as soon as they saw the Lord, they didn't feel the need to, you know, ask anything straight away. In fact, they didn't even open their mouth. What happened as soon as the Lord appeared? The Lord started speaking. Overwhelmed. And what did the Lord say? The first verse that the Lord said is so significant. It's one of the most important, actually, verses of the whole canto. The first verse that the Lord spoke, he expressed his, anybody remembers? The first verse that Vishnu spoke after appearing before Prachetas. People who have been following or have read the story. It's a very important verse. If we just remember that verse and apply it, 98% of our problems in life will go away.
Yeah.
Anybody? Come on.
Text 8.
Text number. Yeah, it's good to just go back at that.
Yeah, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha.
Text 8.
Varam
Yes. Text 8. Correct. Thank you, Tusha Chaitanya Prabhu. So what does the Lord say there?
The personality of Godhead say, my dear son.
And bus will come other side, is it? Right.
I am very pleased
Okay.
by the
Thank
friendly relationship among you. All of you are engaged in one occupation, that is devotional service. I am so pleased with the mutual friendship that I will wish all good fortune. Now you may ask a prediction of me.
Correct. So too important. I mean, I can speak on this verse for 2 sessions. It's so wonderful. But the gist is there are 2 things. First is the Lord.
All right, see you. Right.
Sorry, Nitin Prabhu, you want to mute yourself? Thank you. So the Lord, first important thing is he appeared not because he was forced to appear as a result of the austerities of prachetas. Normally, the Lord appears, or the Lord doesn't have to appear actually by force. But sometimes the devatas appear because of the austerity, to just reciprocate the austerity, not because they like it or they are pleased necessarily. Sometimes they are, but sometimes they may not be. But the Lord, he can appear by his own sweet will. So when he appeared, he said he's so happy to appear. It's not that, he's appearing just to oblige somebody. He's very pleased, and he gives the reason for being pleased. And what is the reason? He said that all of the prachetas, the 10 prachetas, the brothers, they were engaged in one common goal or one common occupation. Now, obviously, 10 people will have 10 differences of opinion, is it not?
Yes.
Doesn't mean 10 brothers will have the same opinion. No way. It can never happen. But they cooperated amongst each other for a common goal, and that was their biggest quality. And that is what Krishna liked. So when we cooperate with the people around us to achieve a common goal, the higher authorities are pleased. And Krishna is obviously the highest authority. So when we engage in devotional service with the people around us, whether it is our family or in the association of devotees, with the common goal of pleasing the Supreme Lord and engaging in devotional service, just by doing it, the Lord becomes extremely pleased. And then how do we know that the Lord was really pleased? He's saying that, of course, we accept whatever he says, but he didn't just say it. He actually demonstrated it by action. And how did he act? He told the prachetas that now you ask me for a benediction. Prachetas didn't ask for benediction. The Lord himself said, Mango. So it is something we desire always. But people who don't desire, they get. Krishna knows whom to give. So Krishna loved, or Vishnu, he appreciated the fact that they have cooperated amongst each other in spite of differences. Second is another important quality of the prachetas that Vishnu highlighted. Anybody else? Again, in the section after between 8 to this verse, there was one more quality of prachetas that Vishnu loved. Something that we should be doing, but very few people are doing nowadays. It is our duty actually, but sometimes we don't. And that is to follow the orders of their father. So they had two qualities. One is they cooperated amongst each other, and second is they followed the instruction of their father. So based on these two, the Lord was extremely pleased, extremely happy, and he wanted to give benediction. And what did he tell them to do? Normally, when somebody is looking for self-realization or spiritually very advanced, they normally leave everything, become, have this feeling of renunciation at heart, and they try and leave everything, minimize things, and they almost live like a renunciant. Now here, interestingly, Krishna is telling them, what did Vishnu tell them to do? Vishnu told them to get married. He even arranged a girl for them. Yes. Told them to get married. Told why they should get married. And not only that, because as soon as, of course, there is a level of enjoyment when one gets married, is what we call the honeymoon period of marriage. That's the complete happiness, sense gratification process, which people look forward to in the marriage. But after that, what happens is the honeymoon finishes and the reality strike, and they're often not very pleasant. Now, we all know that, but we are all somehow or the other entangled in this ashram, in this process. So Vishnu, he told them to get married. Then he told them Don't worry, because he knew Prachetas might have some reservation. They have done so much austerity. They are not ordinary people, ordinary materialistic people who are wanting to just enjoy. So he told them, you will enjoy for 1 million years. Now imagine they did tapasya for 10,000 years. And what result they got? 1 billion years. Enjoy. But then the Prachetas might think, Are yaar, now I have to get married. Then for 1 million years, I have to forcefully enjoy. But my goal is not enjoyment. I want to engage in devotional service and go back. So what did Vishnu say at the end? At that time, when you enjoy, just like Dhruva Maharaja's benediction, you will not be attached. Although you will be in the materialistic life, you will not be attached. And at the end of that lifetime, you will ultimately gain the destination that you should. So his ultimate destination is guaranteed. His current material situation is fantastic. And he has spiritually, materially got nothing to lose. And the benediction has come straight from the boss, the real boss, not the home boss. So what better facilities or what more can the Prachetas ask for? And that's why we see after this section, after the Lord finishes speaking, they are overwhelmed, they are paying their obeisances and they are glorifying the Lord because they are so overwhelmed that, they didn't expect so much, but the Lord just gave them so much. In Hindi they say, Bhagwan jab deta hai, chappad faad ke deta hai. Do haath se bhi aap samet nahi sakte. When the Lord gives, He'll just give you so much, you can't even take with your small 2 hands. But we don't have that faith. So that brings us to this section today, text 19, where the Lord is now talking about something that is very, very important for us as Grihasthas. Because sometimes we get a bit worried or confused, what is going to happen. So here there are 3 points in the translation that Vishnu is saying. So first thing he says is Grihesh avashitam chapi. So Grihesh means family life. And avishatam means one who has entered the family life. Obviously, everybody enters with a purpose, having some thoughts in mind, and the general intention is one, out of duty. Second is to have some enjoyment and to move on in life, as people say. So it's not something that it's a choice sometimes, although now society is moving in a different direction. But in general, everybody, except for a few exceptions, everybody enters into family life. But then the important part is Punsam Kushala Karmanam. This Kushala Karmanam is very important. So when we enter into family life, obviously there is a license for enjoyment. There is a license for sense gratification. But it comes with a caveat. And what is that caveat? Is Kushala Karmanam. Kushala Karmanam means engage in auspicious activities of devotional service. So we may be given the facilities to enjoy, but we have to somehow or the other engage the resources and do the activities which dovetail all our resources in devotional service. This is the important part here. So we have to understand when will that happen? How can we engage everything? We can only engage everything when we understand that the ultimate enjoyer or beneficiary is the Supreme Lord, as Grihasthas. That wonderful verse from 529 in Bhagavad Gita, Bhoktaram Yagya Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suridam Sarva Bhutanam Nyatva Mam Shantim Richati. That he is the ultimate beneficiary and enjoyer. Once we know that, then automatically 2 things happen. One is we feel deep gratitude that he is the ultimate enjoyer, he is the ultimate, and he's given me so much resources, so many things for me to live my life peacefully and engage my resources in his service. So the feeling of gratitude becomes so powerful that automatically the second thing happens. So first is gratitude. Second is the gratitude naturally transforms into service. So when we feel grateful to somebody, we want to do something for that person. We want to serve. So devotional service, that's why Prabhupada says, is the natural constitutional activity of a Jivatma. Provided the Jivatma realizes the gratefulness, and he can only realize the gratefulness when he understands the ultimate beneficiary, the ultimate maintainer is none other than the Supreme Lord. So that is the next part. So how do we engage? Once we realize that he is the supreme enjoyer, what do we actually need to do? How do we engage? How do we dovetail? How do we connect? And the next part says that. Here it says, Madvarta. Madvarta meaning engage your time in discussing, listening the topics of me. So here Vishnu says Madvarta. So this particular aspect is the most important aspect. So in Grihastha life, always listening, always keeping ourselves immersed in hearing the pastimes of the Lord is very important. And of course, there are different levels of hearing. So the first level is just we are hearing, just like, we are doing many things and we are hearing. So it's going in the ears, and definitely what is going in is very powerful. But because we are not attentive, it is not acting on us in a way that it should act. But when we are very attentive, then the same message or the pastimes of Krishna that we are hearing becomes so powerful that it immediately purifies us. And it immediately inspires us to engage in more service. That is the purpose. So hearing the topics, why? So that we can engage in the auspicious activities of devotional service. So hearing is not optional. Hearing is a must. Now the hearing can only become attentive and focused when we are under pressure. We can only become focused when we are under pressure. Yes or no? Are we very focused all the time?
No.
No. Right? But that pressure is not like materialistic pressure of stress. This pressure is different. This is transcendental pressure. And Prabhupada says that we should always have some amount of transcendental stress that is healthy for our progress in spiritual life. So that transcendental stress can only happen if we take upon the most important activity of spreading the glories of the Lord. So we hear the glories of the Lord, hear the pastimes, and we also have to narrate those pastimes. We have to broadcast those pastimes. Now, when we take it upon us to broadcast these pastimes, then we have to say something. To say something, we have to understand that subject matter very well. Whether it is the description of the Lord, whether it is the pastime of the Lord, whether it is the whole narration in a sequential way. Whatever we have to talk about, we have to understand it very well. To understand well, we have to read very intently. We have to refer all the purports of Prabhupada, sometimes other books as well of Prabhupada on that particular subject matter, and then prepare nicely. Now the time doesn't increase, but in that limited amount of time, our reading, our research just completely takes on a different level. And I know most of you here in this forum are preachers. So you may agree with me that when there is a speaking assignment, like a class, whether it's Bhagavatam class, and now Kartik program is going on. So I'm sure all of you are going out and doing Kartik programs. So when we do a Kartik program, we are constantly looking for very concise information that we want to communicate to the audience. Sometimes new people, sometimes devotees, sometimes people who are just connected but not that regular. So the message for all the audience is a bit different depending on where they are and how we want to help them. So when we know we have to give a class, in about 7 days time or 2-3 days time, whatever it is, our reading becomes very focused. Is it not? Have you experienced this? When
Yes,
you know you have to speak, then your reading, whatever you're reading, becomes very, very focused. Even if you're reading for just 15 minutes or half an hour, it becomes so intense that the reading that you normally do for 2 hours, you're able to do the more intense reading in just half an hour. So by doing that, Krishna is actually saving our time. In the less amount of time, he's giving us the maximum. So this is Krishna's reciprocation for people who are trying to broadcast his glories. So this discussing topics of Krishna is extremely important. In all ashrams, specifically in Grihastha ashram. And then he says that yata yamanam. Yata is expended, means how it is used. So we are using our life to not only hear about Krishna, to engage everything in devotional service. And every moment of our life, we should be looking for this opportunity. And obviously, the best way that it can happen is when we, as Grihasthas, are in association with other fellow Grihasthas, or senior devotees for that matter, any senior devotee, but specifically other senior Grihastha devotees who are already following this in their life, who have, Kushala Karmanam and Mad Varta. These two things are a characteristic of their life, and we see them follow it. We have to associate with such people. And when we associate with such people, automatically we will imbibe these important qualities that Vishnu is mentioning here. And then the last one, na bandhaya griha mataha. Very important. If we do this, only and only if we do this, then you are not bound in family life. So we may be in Grihastha ashram, but we are not bound by Grihastha ashram. And there's a wonderful similar verse from Canto 7 that Narad Muni tells Yudhishthir Maharaj, if you recollect, just after the Nishingadev Leela is finished. So Narad Muni says here, this is Canto 7, 14, text 2 and 3 actually. Narad Muni replied, my dear king, those who stay at home as householders must act to earn their livelihood, and instead of trying to enjoy the results of their work themselves, they should offer these results to Krishna, Vasudev. How to satisfy Vasudev in this life can be perfectly understood through the association of great devotees of the Lord. So this is the first part. And then further on, Narad Muni says that a Grihastha must associate again and again with saintly persons, and with great respect. He must hear the nectar of the activities of the Supreme Lord and his incarnations, as these activities are described in Srimad Bhagavatam and other Puranas. Thus, one should gradually become detached from affection for his wife and children, exactly like a man awakening from a dream. So you see, the same message or information is given by Narad Muni in line with the message given here by the Supreme Lord. And it just tells us that this ashram is a very, very important ashram. But we have to understand, unfortunately, there is no training given to anybody of how to enter into this ashram, how to take charge, and how to ultimately achieve the goal of life through this ashram. This is the main problem today. And Prabhupada has given us the necessary information, training that is available to everybody. Unfortunately, even after taking up the process, we don't really seriously undergo that training ourselves. And that's why we are facing so many issues and problems, even after starting to engage in devotional service. So here, in the purport, Prabhupada has given us very nice points, which I just wanted to highlight. first, of course, he's talked about understanding the supreme enjoyer, which we have mentioned. And he also mentions that usually people take sannyas to get completely detached. But if in the grihastha life, we can practice detachment. So detachment doesn't mean that we don't care for the family anymore and we just stay alone and don't talk to them. Sometimes people have this weird misconception. So we stay in the family, we do our duties, but we are not attached. This is an important art to learn. And we have to engage 3 of our resources that Krishna has given us in his service. Just like here it is said, Kushala Karmanam. So Kushala Karmanam we do with 3 things. And what is that? Pranair Arthair Dhiva Vacha. So we engage in devotional service with our life, Pranair. Then Arthair. Artha is our wealth. Yeah. We contribute towards devotional service or towards devotees who are engaged in devotional service. That is the second part, Pranair Arthe. And then Dhiya. Dhiya is we have to engage our intelligence. We have to feed our intelligence information to make it stronger, to make it understand the purpose of human existence, and to be completely inspired and motivated to follow the instruction of the Lord. That is the power of the intelligence. Make it so strong that ultimately the mind and senses are able to slowly be channelized by the intelligence in the right activities. So this is the next one Prabhupada writes here. You can also remember it, Pranair Arthair Dhiya Vacha. So PAD, it's a launching pad in our devotional service. We use these 3 resources to ultimately live in this ashram properly and ultimate the goal of life. So Pranair Arthair Dhiya Vacha. So P, A, and D. Then Prabhupada here mentions that ultimately if one is expert, he can dovetail anything in the service of the Lord. And if one is able to do that, then no need to give up the ashram. In fact, giving up such an ashram whimsically is actually a blunder, Prabhupada writes. And then he gives the wonderful example of this milk product. How having a lot of milk product can cause indigestion, but having very light buttermilk with pepper can cure that indigestion also. So it doesn't mean that we should have lots of milk products and then use this. But he gives this as an example that it is ultimately dependent on how we use the resource and our understanding about the goal of this human life, which is very important. And then, of course, in the last paragraph, Prabhupada writes that how he gives examples of all these wonderful personalities who engage their material opulence in the service of the Lord. So if we are earning wealth is never condemned. We must earn wealth to maintain ourselves, to maintain our family. But it should not be just used to maintain ourselves and engage in sense gratification. It has to be used in the service of Vishnu. Lakshmi has to be used in the service of Vishnu. Then she remains. And then she's happy as well. So we can use the material opulences to serve the Lord. And in that process, people around us also get the benefit. Just like when we cook fresh, opulent offerings for the Lord, we will not cook something substandard, right? Or will not cook 2 days before and then offer the 3rd day. It will never happen like that. But if you are not offering to the Lord, if you look at our life before we came to Krishna consciousness, we may be cooking on a Sunday and we may be taking the thing out of the fridge on a Thursday, putting it in the microwave and eating. And we know now, even from a medical perspective, that food has got no food value. So if you fast, it is better than eating that absolutely rubbish food. But after we got into Krishna consciousness and we started engaging in these acts of devotional service, what happened? We offer the best, we get the best from the market, cook it in the best possible way, whatever our resources we have got, and we offer it to the Lord. Who gets the benefit? The family. the family gets to eat fresh food every day, and they will remain healthy. Healthy why? So that they can also understand the goal of their human existence. And so as grihasthas, it is not just earning wealth, it is also to take care of all the dependents. We often see that in grihastha life, there are quite a few challenges we face. Challenges with the spouse, challenges with the children. Like parenting is often a commonly discussed challenge amongst grihastha life. I'm talking about general devotees. And then, of course, there is always a challenge of earning enough, like enough income, creation of wealth, preparing for retirement. These are all common challenges that we face. But the most important challenge is imparting culture, imparting values, imparting character to our children. That is our duty. We cannot shirk away. And sometimes, parents say, "Oh, mera bachcha to sunta hi nahi hai." Yeah, my child, he doesn't listen to me nowadays. My child only eats rice. He doesn't eat sabzi or dal. When parents say like this, what is the conclusion? That the children have not been trained properly, is it not? It doesn't speak very nicely about the parents. Sometimes they come to the temple and they are, for prasadam, and we are serving the child only, and it's he's not like a really small child. He may be in his teens or just before teens, and they know what to eat, how to eat. So when we start giving them, instead of the child saying no, the parents say, nahi, isko dal nahi dena, wo dal nahi khata hai. And we say, well, this is prasad, you must have, even if you don't like, you must have a little bit. And sometimes, the child then starts shaking his head, and we forcefully put it on. And when we put it on, the parents, instead of sometimes, like they can't show it, but later on they come to us sometimes and say, "Oh, thank you. He never eats it, but you forcefully put it. At least he'll eat it now." So, we all need help. We just want to make sure that there are less obstacles in our way, but that doesn't work. There is a process. There is a way to deal with these things. And if we don't give them the values and we don't train the children, then we are to blame. If somebody points fingers at them, the responsibility is ours. We can't shirk away and say, sorry, I did my best, but they are like this. Of course, after a certain age, they are no longer under our control. But till the point that they are dependent on us, it is our responsibility. I just gave a small example of challenges in grihastha life. But here, ultimately, Prabhupada, he concludes by saying that whatever opulence we have got, even the children are part of our opulence. If you have good children, that is part of good opulence, right? So it has to be engaged in the Lord's service. And engaging that in the Lord's service will ensure that we don't get entangled. Otherwise, we get entangled and attached. Just like Duryodhan was having so many vices, but Dhritarashtra was attached to Duryodhan, not to the king, or not to that particular aspect of only my son will be. He was attached to Duryodhan. So in spite of Duryodhan being a bad person, and in fact, when he was born, he was warned that he will destroy the dynasty, kill him. You still have 99 more sons. But he was so attached, he couldn't. So sometimes over-attachment becomes a reason for downfall. So that is something we must avoid. And if we are not able to engage in these activities, as he says in that bhajan, Hari Hari Bifole Janama Gonainu, Manusha Janama Paya, Radha Krishna Nam Hojiya, Janiya Shuniya Bish Khainu. Then we have nobody else to blame. We cannot give excuses. So, as grihasthas, yes, we keep doing what we need to do to perform our duty, but we must always be in the association of devotees. Take their guidance, always, not just once. Keep taking their guidance, because new challenges will keep coming. So when the challenges come, let's associate, let's take their guidance. And the ultimate core activity is Madhvarta. We have to constantly stay connected with the discussions about Krishna and ensure our family also, we facilitate things in such a way that the family also stays connected. The spouse, the children, they stay connected with Madhvarta. And then they will also develop the feeling of gratitude and have that feeling of service. And then we prepare them to also do their duty without being overly attached. And that, as Prabhupada says, is the greatness of this Grihastha life. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Pitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Thank you very much. Open for any comments or questions.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Oh, what such a wonderful class. You have described how Grihastha life is so important and is so important and is the way to get our destination ultimately. We should not curse the Grihastha life as a source of for the source of our material engagement, but it can be purified into spiritual way. And you have showed the way how Srila Prabhupada has given instruction. So it is on us how to utilize the resources and remain connected and disconnected simultaneously. So it is only through proper understanding, proper guidance, the family can be attached to Krishna consciousness. It is only by Madhvarta and Yatayamanam. So this is very important instruction, and we can see how the Prachetas, having 10,000 years of austerities, how they got lineated in this devotional service of the Lord, and Lord has given all the benediction through this way, and is giving the instruction. Even though in a family life, you don't need to worry. You can still continue a family life by engaging your activities towards the Lord and remain engaged but in disengaged condition. And that will help us to move to our spiritual goal. Hare Krishna.
Summary King. Okay, any other comments or questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Ashish here.
Prabhuji, Ashish Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Good to see you.
Prabhuji, आपने जो how you covered references, that was very nice. Like we went to 7:32, 3, 4. Means Canto 7, I think chapter 30 and verses 2, 3, 4. It does say what I found from this your explanation. Like we are keep saying Krishna is giving package to everyone in mathematic or financial way. If I talk like what we have referred about Prachetas, they have done 10,000 years austerity, but what they got 1 million year lifespan, and all in a mode of enjoying. Like you will enjoy, that is guaranteed. Also, it says create progeny. Also, it says the girl you will get as a wife, they will be in the same conception of life to do devotional service, and so you won't deviate in your goals, and you will come back to me. So how the package is, it's wonderful from the beginning to end, how God approaches directly to Prachetas. So if we understand what you have explained, what we need to connected like with association of devotees, get ideas and keep because as we are getting challenges each and every time, it's never stopping. So it's better to associate with whom, how to get solution, and stay connected in Krishna consciousness, devotional service. whatever we can, like chanting, preaching, reading, listening, take prasadam, offer prasadam, everything. So just stay attached and grow in Krishna consciousness. So very nice class, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Ashish Prabhu, here's from Australia. Thank you so much, Prabhu. I know it's early for you, but still. Okay, any other comments? Something people want to add?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam.
Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you for a wonderful explanation and unpacking of this verse. Also, the preceding verse, you really explained nicely regarding the two important items in this whole chapter is the working harmoniously for common goal and obeying your father. I mean, the Lord was very pleased because of these qualities, and He blessed the Prachetas. So I think these are two items we should also strive and use it or strive to imbibe in our daily life. I think these are two important points. I really like that when you mentioned it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Okay, anything else?
There doesn't seem to be rules, so we should conclude the class here. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Vanchakalpatarubhyasya
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि
अनंतकोटि
वैष्णव
वैष्णववृंद
वृंद
की
की जय।
जय।
श्री
श्री
सुरित
सुहृद
कृष्ण
कृष्ण
प्रभु की जय। जय प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय।
गौर प्रेमानंदे
हरि
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 बोल।
बोल।
All glories to the
Grace and
assembled
devotees,
devotees.
Hare Krishna.